You're in America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our fucking prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion, all right?
There are growing calls to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. The New York Post is reporting that locals in the UK say enough is enough, especially after Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview, which aired hours after he lost his appeal for taxpayer.
It's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. It was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family.
Oh my God, I can't even. These two, Meghan and Harry.
Harry's digging an even bigger hole for himself here.
Well, I think he's dug so deep now, he'll strike water any day now.
I just can't stand her. I just think she's such a phony.
There had been growing speculation in political and media circles that a significant development involving Prince Harry might be approaching, particularly as discussions began to surface around Westminster. Initially, the situation appeared to resemble the kind of recurring headlines that have followed tensions between the Duke of Sussex and the British monarchy in recent years. However, attention intensified when reports emerged of a formal petition entering political channels, moving the issue beyond social media commentary or celebrity controversy. According to various reports and commentators, the matter has reached what some describe as serious constitutional and institutional territory. The focus of the debate is an alleged push to review or potentially remove Harry's royal title. Real quick, if you're enjoying the video so far, hit that like button and subscribe. It only takes a second, but it helps the channel grow more than you think. Widely viewed as one of the final formal links connecting him to the royal family following his and Meghan Markle's decision to step back from official duties and relocate to California.
A new poll by Find Out Now has revealed that most of the public is supporting the king in this family feud, ongoing family feud, after Harry's bombshell BBC interview. It follows the Court of Appeal's decision to not overturn the ruling on his security in the UK.
She's slaughtered this weekend because there were some business cards in the back of one of her podcasts. She's still using her royal title, HRH, despite our late Queen warning her again.
Observers suggest that this development raises broader questions about legacy, symbolism, and the evolving role of royal titles in a modern context. Critics have framed the debate around whether it is appropriate for a former working royal to build an independent public and commercial profile while continuing to hold a title granted by the crown. Supporters, meanwhile, argue that titles are part of heritage and identity rather than conditional privileges tied strictly to current duty. Some analysts note that this discussion represents a shift away from what was once viewed primarily as a family dispute or media narrative. Instead, it is increasingly being framed in political and constitutional terms.
William, he's reportedly furious after it emerged that Meghan Markle is still using her HRH title despite agreeing to drop the title when the Sussexes left royal duties.
I think Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the H.
Particularly if formal parliamentary mechanisms were ever to be invoked. For many commentators, the symbolic stakes are significant. Losing the Duke of Sussex title would not only be a personal change for Harry, but could also mark a decisive institutional moment in the relationship between the monarchy and members who step away from active roles. The renewed debate has also been interpreted in the context of Harry's long public history in the United Kingdom.
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile. If they don't want that, that's entirely up to them.
From the widely remembered image of him as a young prince walking behind the coffin of his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, to his more recent role as a global public figure speaking openly about his experiences within the royal system. Reports indicate that what began as public criticism and media commentary has gradually evolved into more structured political attention.
But she said she was in the trenches. She alludes to being in the trenches when she was in the British royal family. Girl, you lived in a castle. Like, you got a princess title. People were falling at your feet. People would run your bathwater for you. I mean, I could list the things, the perks. I could list them forever. The trenches. She has got to. The Delulu is on another level. Sometimes I envy it.
He's duplicitous, self-centered, vile, disloyal, hypocrite.
Some sources suggest that a petition linked to the issue gathered significant public support within a short period, with signatories reportedly coming from across different regions of the UK. While petitions do not automatically lead to legislative action, analysts say they can contribute to broader parliamentary discussion if they reach certain thresholds. In addition to public pressure, commentators point to the historical framework sometimes referenced in this context.
Not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. It was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family.
Notably, the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917. This legislation, last used during World War I, allowed the Crown to remove titles from individuals perceived to be acting against British national interests. While many legal experts stress that current circumstances are very different, critics invoking the law argue that symbolic harm to the institution can also become a matter of concern even without direct legal violations. Across the country, public opinion appears to remain divided.
There is no trust when it comes to Prince Harry, and the picture he tries to paint with Queen Elizabeth, even saying during that BBC interview that the Queen wanted him to have this level of security, we're finding out the truth, and it's that she was bothered by them.
But of course, the real measure of success of both of them will be the same as it always has been. How much damage can they inflict on our royal family, on our monarchy? I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags with a permanent victim complex, knowing that victimhood is what makes them all the money.
Some citizens express frustration at what they see as ongoing criticism of the monarchy from someone who still retains royal status. Others maintain that stepping away from duties should not automatically result in the loss of inherited or granted titles. For many observers, the core issue is less about personal conflict and more about how the monarchy navigates questions of modern relevance, accountability, and public perception. The controversy has intensified further due to Harry's continued visibility in international media.
Breaking news out of London, Buckingham Palace announcing Harry and Meghan will no longer formally represent the Queen. That means they will no longer receive public funds and they will stop using their royal titles. Those changes will take effect this spring.
Since relocating to the United States, he has participated in interviews, documentaries, public discussions, and speaking engagements that sometimes touch on political or social issues. Traditionally, members of the British royal family are expected to maintain political neutrality, and critics argue that this expectation becomes complicated when a title holder engages in debates abroad.
She is relentless, she is shameless, and she is exhausting. You are not a successful female entrepreneur.
A progressive new role within the royal family. While the royal family does modernize, I mean, the Queen sends tweets, it is an age-old institution, and I think that idea of tradition and everything we expect of the monarchy doesn't quite sit well with that idea.
The hypocrisy is beyond anything I've ever seen.
Some commentators have even introduced terms such as title laundering to describe what they perceive as the use of royal status to amplify influence in political or commercial contexts. Supporters strongly dispute this characterization, arguing that Harry is exercising his personal freedom of speech and building an independent career. Members of Parliament have reportedly begun raising related questions more openly. Among them is whether it is appropriate for a British duke residing overseas to participate in discussions that could be interpreted as politically charged.
A new poll by Find Out Now has revealed that most of the public is supporting the king in this family feud, ongoing family feud, after Harry's bombshell BBC interview. It follows the Court of Appeal's decision to not overturn the ruling on his security in the UK.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH title.
For certain lawmakers, this is not merely a matter of etiquette, but a potential institutional concern. They argue that if royal titles become associated with political advocacy, particularly outside the UK, the long-standing principle of monarchical neutrality could face new challenges. As debate continues, analysts emphasize that any formal move regarding royal titles would involve complex legal and constitutional processes rather than dramatic or immediate action.
Pleasure. It's a big news story. As you can imagine over here, it really has, well, the phone hasn't stopped ringing, put it that way.
And in terms of your initial reaction to this latest news, that in fact it feels like it's a full removal in the sense of not just senior royal duties, but
we'll see King Charles do this because he's not confrontational. I don't think that he likes the fact that he's been accused of racism towards his grandchildren in Omid Scobie's book. So I think he's going to continue to.
Nonetheless, the fact that the issue is being discussed in political forums at all signals, for many observers, a notable shift in how the relationship between the monarchy and its non-working members is being understood in the modern era. From the perspective of Prince Harry, his public comments and media appearances may be viewed as an effort to speak openly about personal experiences and issues he considers important. However, within political and institutional circles in the United Kingdom, some lawmakers and commentators interpret these actions differently.
Others surrounding Prince Harry and Prince William, and what this change in senior roles for Harry and Meghan means for that particular relationship.
We immediately went into the trenches together.
According to various observers, there is a growing perception among certain members of Parliament that long-standing conventions surrounding royal titles and public conduct may be under strain. Discussions have increasingly referenced historic precedent, royal tradition, and the broader question of what responsibilities, formal or symbolic, accompany the continued use of a royal title after stepping back from official duties.
Last week, she did her first long-form sit-down podcast interview. She showed a basket that she had sent to the host of the podcast as a thank you for allowing her to come on. And here you can kind of zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex.
Harry and Meghan, they have an issue when it comes to their memory and when it comes to the truth.
Since withdrawing from frontline royal roles alongside Meghan Markle, Harry has remained highly visible in global media. This has included major interviews such as the widely discussed conversation with Oprah Winfrey, documentary projects, and the publication of his memoir, Spare. In these appearances, he has shared personal reflections on royal life and family tensions. While early public interest was substantial, some critics argue that repeated revelations about internal disputes have gradually shifted perceptions, with the narrative increasingly framed as an ongoing public conflict rather than a process of personal healing. Some longtime supporters have also suggested that continued criticism of senior family members, including King Charles III and Prince William, has complicated public sympathy.
The monarchy means for the monarchy.
Well, people are talking about it being a constitutional crisis, and I'm not sure it is a constitutional crisis. I mean, through circumstance and the Cambridges having 3 children, Harry slipped down from being the spare to the heir to the 6th in...
Charles on his way out, Prince William is expected to take over the crown. And apparently at the top of his list is to say, peace out, Meghan, you're done. And he plans to formally strip Meghan Markle of her royal title.
Writers note that over time, the accumulation of headlines, interviews, and media projects focusing on royal disagreements has contributed to a more polarized public mood, particularly within the UK. Within Parliament and wider political debate, a central argument emerging from critics is that stepping away from royal duties while continuing to use a royal title, specifically Duke of Sussex, may create a perceived contradiction. For some lawmakers, the issue is less about legal wrongdoing and more about symbolism, institutional respect, and the evolving expectations placed on individuals who retain formal ties to the monarchy. Public opinion research cited in media reports has suggested that attitudes in the UK may be shifting.
A crisis in the Windsors, not least how the Sussexes chose to release this news, but also the narrative that we've had in the fallout that the couple were very unhappy, that apparently it was a very toxic environment, particularly for Meghan.
The hypocrisy is beyond anything I've ever seen.
Certain polls indicate that a growing share of respondents believe Harry should no longer hold his title, with support for that view reportedly stronger among older or more traditionally monarchist voters. In Sussex itself, the region associated with his dukedom, petitions and public commentary have also reflected mixed feelings, with some residents questioning whether he still represents local or national interests.
Now, a staggering 2/3 of Brits are calling for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their HRH titles.
Brat, to be honest, and very, very entitled.
Analysts emphasize that frustration among critics is often framed not simply around Harry's decision to leave royal life, but around the belief that he has continued to benefit from the visibility and prestige linked to royal branding while publicly challenging the institution. This perception has led some commentators to argue that the situation resembles an attempt to balance independence with ongoing symbolic association, an approach they believe may not be sustainable indefinitely. Another dimension of the debate concerns the couple's commercial ventures. Since relocating to the United States, Harry and Meghan have entered into high-profile agreements involving streaming platforms, publishing, and speaking engagements.
He's a duplicitous, self-centered, vile, disloyal hypocrite.
Critics frequently point out that their royal titles appear prominently in media coverage of these projects, interpreting this as evidence that royal status remains central to their global profile. Some have used charged terms such as title trafficking to describe what they view as the strategic use of royal identity in commercial contexts, although supporters strongly dispute this characterization. Supporters, for their part, argue that titles are a matter of heritage and personal identity rather than conditional privileges tied solely to active service. They maintain that Harry retains the right to share his experiences and build an independent career without being required to relinquish his royal designation. Nonetheless, the debate has intensified as political figures have begun addressing the issue more openly. For many lawmakers, royal titles historically signified duty, public service, and connection to the institution of the monarchy. As a result, suggestions that such titles may be functioning primarily as instruments of media influence or branding have generated increasingly strong reactions in some political and public circles. While no immediate legal action appears imminent, commentators note that the growing visibility of the issue, both in Parliament and in public discourse, signals a broader conversation about how royal roles, responsibilities, and symbolism may continue to evolve in the modern era. Some commentators argue that continued commercial visibility tied to royal branding risks, making a historic title appear more like a promotional tool than a traditional honor. Among more traditional royal observers, this perception is often described as crossing an important symbolic boundary. At the same time, the response, or lack of response, from Buckingham Palace has drawn significant attention. King Charles III has not publicly intervened in the debate, and many royal analysts interpret this silence as deliberate. Rather than appearing to personally defend or criticize his son, the monarch may be allowing constitutional mechanisms, parliamentary discussion, and broader public opinion to shape the conversation. Similarly, Prince William is widely seen by commentators as prioritizing long-term institutional stability over engaging in public family disputes. Reports suggest he has not openly challenged the political debate surrounding his brother's title. For some within royal circles, the issue is therefore framed less as interpersonal conflict and more as a question of safeguarding the monarchy's credibility and continuity. If Parliament were ever to move toward removing the Duke of Sussex title held by Prince Harry, analysts say the implications could be significant. Beyond a formal change in designation, such a step might reshape how Harry is perceived internationally, potentially altering the influence, symbolism, and public fascination connected to his royal association. Critics argue that much of the global attention surrounding Harry and Meghan Markle has been driven by narratives of royal conflict rather than traditional royal service. They point to interviews, media partnerships, documentaries, and the memoir Spare as examples of how the royal connection has remained central to public interest. From this perspective, the removal of royal titles could fundamentally shift how their story is framed, recasting them as prominent public figures without formal ties to a historic institution. Supporters, however, strongly contest this view and emphasize the couple's right to independence and self-expression. Within political and royal commentary, the debate has increasingly broadened beyond personal dynamics. Some lawmakers suggest the issue concerns whether royal titles should continue to carry social and commercial influence when an individual's working relationship with the monarchy has substantially changed. This has led to renewed discussion about protecting institutional norms and clarifying expectations around royal status. Historical precedent is often cited in these conversations. In 1917, George V approved the Titles Deprivation Act, allowing certain royal titles to be removed during wartime under exceptional circumstances. While the context today is very different, commentators note that the episode illustrates how constitutional mechanisms can be used when the perceived integrity of royal titles is questioned. More recently, the situation involving Prince Andrew, who stepped back from public duties and relinquished several roles following controversy, has been referenced as evidence that royal status and privileges can evolve in response to public pressure. Royal historians frequently stress that the monarchy as an institution tends to prioritize continuity and collective reputation over individual members. Against that backdrop, some members of Parliament have openly questioned whether Harry should retain his title while living abroad and speaking critically about royal structures. They argue that the legal framework exists for review and that growing public debate warrants serious consideration. Observers also emphasize that any formal action would likely emerge through established constitutional processes rather than sudden headlines. Parliamentary debate, legal scrutiny, and consultation with the Crown would all be expected elements of such a decision. If change were ever enacted, it could mark a defining moment in the long-running tensions between Harry and the institution he once represented. Over recent years, the conflict has largely played out through media narratives, from major interviews to publishing projects and legal disputes. Some analysts now believe the conversation has entered a more consequential phase, moving from public opinion into political and constitutional discussion. Supporters maintain that Harry has the right to share his personal experiences and advocate for issues he considers important. Critics, meanwhile, view the debate over his title as symbolic of broader questions about legitimacy, representation, and the evolving meaning of royal identity in modern Britain. With Parliament increasingly drawn into the discussion and the palace maintaining a reserved stance, many observers say the next developments could significantly shape how Harry's relationship with the monarchy is defined in the years ahead.